Hi there, everybody. Hopefully we've got sound. I can see we've probably got vision, and I can see that there are people in the chat. So we're all set for a live show. If you can hear me out there, then please just let me know that everybody can hear as well as see me, because I think I've pressed all the right buttons. How are we doing? Everybody's busy chatting. I can see lots and lots of talking going on. Hopefully somebody out there, hopefully I'm coming through sound and vision okay. Thank you, Ed. Thanks. And we've got a wave and a smile from Phyllis. Excellent. You have sound from Jen. That's great. That's fantastic, folks. I am so glad that we are broadcasting. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will remain viable to broadcast for the next hour, because we've been having a little bit of trouble with our internet running slow, and we had a crisis the last time I was on live because it all went dead on me and I had to literally start a new show. If that happens tonight, if for any reason OBS packs up, then please search for a new link, because what will happen is I'll have to switch over and start over again. It doesn't allow me to just sort of mend things. They like you to stop and restart, but hopefully that won't happen. Well, it's fantastic to see everyone in, and as I say, lots and lots of chatting going on. I can see people busily saying hi to each other, and here we go. I'm gonna run up to the top and have a look who is the first of you to come in this evening. And oh gosh, you have been chatty in the last 10 minutes while the countdown was on. Aha, there we go. Rachel, you may have had to take a bit of a whiff and a cuppa your last night after being to choir, but you're first in tonight to make up for it. So there we go. Number one spot goes to you on the attendance, followed closely by Bonnie Tyler fan and then Jen W 9361. Mike, you were close, my friend, Mr. Mike Sage, but you were number 4. But it's lovely to see everybody in, and hopefully you're all doing well. It's amazing how the time is flying, isn't it? I tell you what, I went over to this monthly video so that it would give me a lot more time to be able to deal with lots and lots of stuff that's happening and be able to still keep something regular. And I thought that's going to give me a good space. But wow, isn't it mad how quickly 4 weeks go? It's quick. I've got to be honest, for me, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it's been mad with regards to how quick 2025 has gone, because we're now less than a month away from Christmas. We are virtually a month away from the end of the year. So much has happened, so much has been going on, so many changes in our life and situation for Caroline, myself, and the family, as well as so many changes nationally, internationally, and everywhere else. But still, it doesn't seem sensible that we're facing Christmas and New Year yet again. Now, there's been a bit of discussion going on here at home with regards to when the video will go out at the end of this month. I will do a video and we're going to do a live show, but we may have to just move things by a couple of days one way or t'other. The reason is that our Christmas is usually busy, but this year it is exceptionally busy because our family commitments have had to be jiggered about and moved around as we are accommodating a significant birthday for one of our grandchildren, which is just 2 days after Christmas. We are normally away at that point because we go to visit that's our eldest grandchild, where we go to visit our youngest grandchild, normally from Boxing Day for a day or so. So now this year we're going to have to travel on Christmas Day in order to get up, see our youngest on Boxing Day, then travel back Boxing Day because we want to be here to be with our eldest grandchild on their significant birthday. So it's really mayhem and madness, but it will all be wonderful when it happens. But it does mean that because of Christmas crashing towards the last weekend of the month, I'm going to have to just look at the dates and come up with a solution. One thing Caroline's been mentioned is possibly putting it out a little bit earlier, the video, and then doing the live show the following night, but making that Christmas Eve. Now, I don't know how that would work for people out there. We know there will be those, as there always are. There's those of our folks who are busy, can't be there because of one thing or another. But we thought it might be a nice touch to be close to Christmas and celebrate with you all. And Caroline is hoping to be able to join me, if possible, for the Christmas show, live show, to see you all and wish you all a very happy Christmas. I can see there's some happy birthdays going on. So there we go. That's nice. And so have a think about it. Leave some comments. Let us know, particularly over on the Facebook. You can tell us what you think of the idea. But maybe we'll push it the other way and go towards New Year. Perhaps we can do something on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve and celebrate the end of the year with you all. But we're going to come up with something that we can do, and we'll try and make it linked to the festive season, whether it be Christmas or New Year, so we can all get together and have a party. So I hope that will work for everyone. Tell Phil again with a big row of smiley faces. Right, so I've missed something, have I? Because I was looking at, I was being a good boy. I was doing what Caroline said. She said, when you're talking, you've got to look at the camera. Don't look at the screen, look at the camera. If you look at the screen, they see the top of your head. If you look at the camera, they can see you talking to them. So I was being so good looking at the camera, but of course, back in those days, I was being told to look at the camera, but Caroline in between could be looking at all the chat and seeing what's going on. And sorry if I've missed something up there as it's gone past. I did see one row of smiley faces, but that was wishing happy birthday to Mark Williams. And so many happy returns of the day for Mark. But just let us know if I've missed something. Hello, Phil and Caroline. Everyone here. I have a birthday on the 19th of December. Oh, Dorothy, happy birthday for that one. I'm just 2 days after you. There we go. I'm on my... Let me think. My uncle, my favourite uncle, was on the 19th. My dad was on the 2nd. And I'm on the 21st. So lots of December babies. But it was a family tradition. My mum, when she was with us, because mum passed away just over a year ago. And when mum was with us, because dad passed away in 1967 when I was a little lad, mum used to say, on dad's birthday, get a nice Christmas wreath, make sure it's a nice one, lots of holly, and then it'll last from his birthday right over the Christmas period, and put it up on by his headstone. So my poor old dad was getting birthday and Christmas presents even 50 years after he passed away. But that's one of the problems being born too near Christmas. You can tend to get a bit of a merge of events. But I'll be doing that now coming up on Tuesday. I'll be getting the wreath and putting it up there for Mum and Dad to carry on my family tradition. And it'll make me smile to be thinking of the pair of them now sharing their birthday and Christmas present between them. But there we go. Well, we really should get started because you know me, I'll start talking and I never know when to stop. But as I say, happy birthday for anyone who's got a birthday coming up, and we'll make a point of celebrating again with you, Dorothy, nearer the time. Lexi bought a wreath today from Aldi. I've been looking around. I do have a look in the different stores and supermarkets, just trying to see the nicest. We spotted some nice ones in, where was we? I think it was Asda, which surprised me because last year I got one from Morrison and it was quite nice, but I think I've seen a nice one in Asda, but I'm not sure if it's quite big enough because you to put on the grave up at the yard there, you need something quite a good size for it to make the right sort of statement that you want to make. And there's a race on at the moment because when we had to reopen the plot, obviously, so that we could lay Mum to rest with Dad after all those years, as she was still very much in love with Dad and had never remarried, and we put them together again. We had the stone removed, so we could now have the second page of the marble book printed with Mum's details alongside Dad's, you know, just to make it all right. Well, that was a year September, and I've just had a message saying they're hoping to get it on by Christmas. So the race is on. Will they get the stone there by Christmas? But whether they put the stone back or not, I'm going to keep up the tradition for Mum and be putting the wreath up there. So, there we go. Ed's going to make one. Do you know what? I was talking with somebody yesterday, and they were saying they do something similar to what I do, but they go to they actually make Christmas wreaths from the holly, and they place them on the family plots, and they make their own. So yeah, that's a good idea, making them. That's an excellent idea. But there we go. Think I'm keeping up with things there, but obviously they go past so quick that so you got a new Aldi's. There we go. They're building. Is it Aldi's or Lidl's? They're both the same to me, but they're building a brand new one not far from here. But we've got an Aldi's that if the weather's fine, we go to Aldi's. We walk because it gives us 8,000 steps to walk to Aldi's and back. So a walk to Aldi's and back to pick up a few bits and pieces is a good exercise for Caroline and myself, and it gets something done. But the weather we've had lately, not quite suitable for walking because it's been wet, windy and cold. But we haven't had, well, we had a sprinkling of the white stuff a week ago, but nothing significant. So I don't know if we're going to get a white Christmas. But Lexi's got a huge holly bush in the front garden. Oh, there we go. You'll be able to start your own business with there, kid. Okay, well, I'd better get a question going because we've done the first 3 in. So let's see how you're doing on the questions and answers today. Now, can I find... Everything's moved about, don't you? There we go. Have I got my question one? Yes, I have. Okay, everybody. As I always say, the questions are loosely related to the video we watched this week. And I hope everyone enjoyed our trip down memory lane, seeing some of the items that we've picked up on our travels together. For some, they may be new because you've joined us more recently. There was a comment I was reading saying that they remembered the Ivy skeleton, but were surprised to realise that was about 5 years ago. But of course, it was in the summer of 2020 during the first lockdowns. The second lockdown, sorry, we had the first one in the spring and the second one then was in the middle of the year. So we're talking 5. It's amazing how quickly the time has gone. It really is. But here's your first question. Poison bottles are always a great find. And they were a great idea in the attempt to stop accidental poisoning, because you had the issue of dim lighting with candle lighting, etc., and oil lamps. You also had the problem of labels coming off. So this was the thinking behind them. But which of these countries recorded the earliest patent for a distinctively shaped and textured glass poison bottle? So there's the one that we showed this week as one of a pair, and it's got on there not to be taken, so you can feel that. But the idea was to put the pattern on it so immediately you'd know when you pick this bottle up, even in the dark, even a blind person would know this bottle, I better not drink that. Don't put that in your tea. So here's another one. That's about. Again, it's got the not to be taken written on there. And then the ridges so that you can feel it immediately with your hand. And you know, right, we're not to take it. Because, so there was an act passed in our country that prevented the sale of arsenic direct across the counter, other than by those registered to sell it and for specific purposes. So up until they passed that act, you could just buy arsenic in the shop, take it home and use it for whatever you needed it for, to kill the weeds or whatever, or to bump somebody off. But I want to know which of these 3 countries had the application for a patent for a bottle such as this. Which came first? Was it in Australia? That would be A. The United States of America? That would be B. Or the UK? That would be C. Go. So that's the question. We want to know which of the 3 countries was the first. They all produced these bottles, and virtually every major country in the world were using these bottles by the beginning of the 1900s. So we're talking late 18th, early 19th century, you saw the use of these bottles. But when you go and check at the patent office, you can see which country got the earliest patent. And I'm wondering if you think it's A, Australia, B, the USA, or C, the UK. And lots of people have put in their answers. Yeah, Rufus has put in Abercrombie. But then again, occasionally Rufus likes to put in Abercrombie. If I remember after I've answered this question, I'll tell you a little story now about the Abercrombie video, because it's a while since we made that. But I've got a bit of a story to tell on that. But let's have a look now. Okay, well, I've got a fair few answers in, and we've got A's, B's, and C's. So someone's going to be right. And as I scan down, I've got to find out if there were enough people right. Well, this is going to be interesting, because the correct answer is C. Because the first patent in the UK was in 1859. The first patent in the USA was 1871. But there is no recorded patent for one in Australia, because the records do not show for that period that somebody patented a bottle. So there wasn't a patent registered in Australia. There was in the USA, but it was patented 12 years after the one in the UK. So C is the correct answer, or UK. So the very first answer in from Bonnie Tyler fan was correct. Well, it wasn't the very first answer in, because the first answer in was Abercrombie, but that being not correct or on the list, we've got Bonnie Tyler fan. I'm getting tired now. 34 said C. And then we've got JDS3493 C. That's silver for you. And I believe there's only one other on the of all the answers, and that's Mike Sage. You've got a C as well. So Mike, you were one of 3 people to get it correct, and you get the bronze. So we got Bonnie Tyler fan, followed by JDS, followed by Mike, and that's our first 3. And oh, hang on, Ed Tucker just stuck a C down, but I missed that one, Ed. So Ed, you've got a C as well, but you're number 4, pal. Okay, rightio. Well done, everyone. There we go. So we managed to get 3 correct answers, and 3 people got their podium places. Yes, Abercrombie. Abercrombie. I said I would tell you something about Abercrombie. Just wanted to share a comment that I picked up today It came in a week or two ago. I hadn't had a chance to get out of the comments, but I caught up with most of my comments today. The ones that have come in after this morning, I haven't had a chance to answer yet, but I will get around to it. But there was a comment there from the Abercrombie video, and the gentleman on there was explaining how he used to live, I think it was in Jenkins Street in Abercrombie, but had moved away many years ago and now lives up north. But he said it was such a joy to see the town, and he was so thrilled to watch the video that he is now hoping to bring his family down on a visit to show them where he used to live. It's inspired him to return to his roots. And now in his old age, as he put it, he's going to return to his roots and bring his family to show them the place he lived in, because it stirred so many memories for him. So I thought that was lovely. We all go out on a jolly, we travel together and do these things, but we never know what impact any of those videos may have on someone. And we've had some lovely comments like that from people who it's really been a particular special thing for them to see a particular video. But the Abercrombie video, that was one that got a comment just today. I picked it up and answered it and said to the gentleman how thrilled we were that the video meant so much to him, and we hope he has a wonderful time when he visits with his family. So that was really good. There we are, a comment from Rufus, our own resident Abercrombie boy. Never forget your roots. That's awesome, Phil. Yeah. But as I say, it was lovely, because obviously when somebody else, this is what I often find, when somebody else looks at something that is familiar to you, they often see it in a different light, and it causes you to see it as well. I know I've told a story before about the time when my mum had some friends over from Brazil, because my mum knew people all over the world, because she'd worked as a house mother in London in a language school. So she had young friends all over the world. Mum did. She travelled everywhere. She's been to weddings in Israel. She's been to America. She's been to the Ukraine for months on end, working on projects back in the day. She's done all sorts, and she's brought these friends down, and we took them out, and we went for a walk, and we stood on a bridge on the river looking down the river. And I think I've been to that spot on one of our videos and may have shared this on there. And as we stood there, they were just in awe. Now, I'd been going up to this bridge since I was a lad. Me and my brothers used to play up there, climb the trees, dam the river, you know, messing about, having fun. It was just normal to us. But as they stood there and started to say how beautiful it was, for a moment I thought, what is it that they are seeing? I'd always known it was nice, but it was normal. And as I looked, thinking about how they were seeing it for the first time, I realized that within a few hundred yards of where we were living, there was this awesome and beautiful place that I had not appreciated in that way. So it always helps. And because we'd done the video, I think it must have stirred memories for this man. And we spoke of some of the stories of Abercrombie, some of the heroes of the place, and the mining and the history and the background. And it just stirred for him those thoughts, which I think is lovely. Right. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything down here now before we have our first happy news. Hello from snowy Michigan. Oh, Rachel, it's snowing in Michigan, is it? Right, you. Well, they're ifing and ahhing, but I don't think we're going to see any significant snow. Not this far south. Scotland possibly will. But, of course, there are areas of the States that see a lot of snow. And, of course, up in Canada, they see far more than their fair share, because it can be jolly cold up there. But here is hit and miss for us on the old snow front. But there we go. Okay, let's see if I can come up with a jingle for a bit of happy news. Oh yes, I can. Okay, first happy news of the night. This story comes from Africa, and it's surgeon saves a baby's life. A British surgeon removed a life-threatening tumour from a baby's neck that was as big as her face. The lump had been growing since she was just 5 months old. But when her mother, Aminata, took her to the local hospital in Sierra Leone, doctors told her she was too young for surgery. By the time she was 10 months old, her family began to fear the worst, until Aminata bumped into a volunteer who works for Mercy Ships, a healthcare charity that operates hospitals aboard ships. Global Mercy was docked in Freetown, and when the staff saw how the tumour would eventually suffocate her, they immediately agreed to perform surgery aboard their ship for free. Aminata said, "If not for this surgery that the Mercy Ships did for my child, she would have lost her life." Since 2023, the Global Mercy Ship has provided more than 3,630 free surgeries in sub-Saharan Africa to people who are robbed of years of healthy life due to conditions that are easily treatable. You know, sometimes I suppose we have problems. Here in the UK, sometimes we'll have a gripe and a moan about things. But I suppose for people who have got these health conditions and no access to medical care that can transform their lives, it must be so distressing for their families and so debilitating for the individual. But it's wonderful to think that there are organisations such as Mercy Ships that have gone down there. They have been working around the sub-Saharan area since 2023, so that's in 2 years, and they've done over 3,600 surgeries. But this particular story caught my eye because this little baby, the mum was taking the baby to the hospital where they were not taking it seriously. They didn't grasp just how dangerous this situation was. And it was while at the hospital, she bumped into a worker off the ship. Why they were at the hospital, I don't know. Maybe they had come into the hospital that day to assist, but they were there. They weren't meant to meet, but they met. The worker didn't think to themselves, well, this isn't why I'm here. They saw the baby, immediately recognized that this situation was serious, that intervention was necessary, and believed they had the means to do it. And an incredible surgeon who had given his time to be there on the ship carried out the 4-hour surgery on that little babe, and the babe is now making their recovery. And I just thought how in all of that there was just that thin line. I always say that thin line of fate, that they met when they did, that mum was going back to the hospital in desperation, bumps into a stranger who had the answer. And sometimes we never know where that answer may come from. We never know just who it is that we are going to come across that could make all the difference in our lives. But for that little baby and for mum, it made all the difference in the world. So I thought that was heartwarming and a beautiful story to share. So a bit of happy news there. Very happy news for the family and the baby, but nice to share the news as well. Because obviously, and the news and the work of Mercy Ships, who are a voluntary organisation totally supported by charitable donations and are making such a tremendous difference in the world. So there we go. That's a little bit of news. Let's have a look at another find. I tell you what, first I'm going to have a drop of water. There we go. Oh. Yep, we saw our 2 poison bottles earlier on. Now, I couldn't bring the lump of ivy in for obvious reasons. But what I have been able to do is to bring another find that is similar. And that's because as well as the ivy that we were able to use in the garden, and sometimes I find timber that I'll use out in the garden, Caroline also loves it if she comes across some of this. Because sometimes when we're out in a forest or traveling along to a dump or along a riverside, there'll be trees where the bark, the tree has fallen and the bark begins to break away, and then it just lies there on the floor. Now that's a small piece there, but I've got a few other bits here I can show you. Look at this piece here. That's a boot. That's a boot. Yep. And sometimes in Caroline's craft, she'll use a piece of bark, and you can actually buy pieces of bark from craft stores, you know, but it's beautiful when we can just pick it up because it's fallen from the tree. The tree has been felled in a storm or whatever, and now it's about to rot into the ground, and you can just pick up a piece like that and bring it home with us. So we've got that one there. There's another chunk here, quite similar to that, with the grain. You can see there, I believe these may have come from the same tree actually. And then this one here is slightly different because you can see the depth of texture on that. That's really a gnarly old tree. But then this one, the bark is much more shallow. But can you see there that branch, that's the tree there, and there's the branch coming off it. So you've actually got the shape of the branch. And look, there's a little hole there, a little knot hole where a small branch would have grown through on the side there. So a little hole there, on there, and then we got that there. So as I say, sometimes we go out looking for our stuff in the dumps, but it's nature itself that actually provides us with something worth bringing home. We have similar bark that the tides leave on the shore at St. Lawrence. Yeah, enormous thick, and sometimes that sounds amazing. Please, that sounds amazing. If you've got any pictures of any sculpting you've done with the bark, you can put them up on the Facebook. We'd love to see those. Yeah. Well, but as I say, sometimes we end up, and it's nature that's providing the finds. You all know, and maybe one day I'll bring some of that in to show you how much driftwood I've collected over the years, and how much driftwood I would have liked to have collected, except I would have needed a crane and a lorry to get it home. I love driftwood. I just love the texture, I love the feel, and I love the fact that it's been shaped. As I say, sometimes it's those pieces of art that have been created by nature. You pick it up and you can see a shape, you can see an animal or something in the form of the wood. And for me, I'm forever seeing dragons, as you know. And that's why I wanted to just pay tribute to the beauty of nature in this week's video, because it is easy to be so focused on finding what people have thrown away, and that is interesting and intriguing and exciting. But it'll be a sad day if we lose sight of what's around us, because the sound of the river, you know, the leaves falling in autumn. I know they can be a nuisance when they cover all the finds, but they're beautiful to see. And this week to show those beautiful bluebells in that bluebell wood. Absolutely amazing. Well, better have another question. Here we go. When nearly forgot to do a jingle. I tell you what, forget my headphone screwed on, nearly didn't have a jingle then. Okay, in the garden video, there was a wooden covered bench. It's a built-in bench with sides and like a pagoda roof on the top. This was in the background behind me as I was building the feature. What was hanging from the roof of that bench? Was it A, a solar lamp? Was it B, a bird feeder? Or C, a wind chime? Go. What do you think was hanging on the roof above the wooden bench directly behind me while I was working on the ivy skeleton structure? Do you think it was A, a solar lamp, B, a bird feeder, or C, a wind chime? Oh, the answers are coming in. They're coming in. Steady, steady. Here they go. And we got A's, B's, and C's. So we've definitely got somebody with the right answer so far. There we go. Oh, we got quite a few answers coming in here. Let's have a little look. So what are you going for? Somebody's gone for solar lamp, somebody's gone for bird feeder, and somebody's gone for wind chime. But I'm going to go back to the top to find out who's who. And the answer we're looking for is C, wind chime. So we've got to come down because there's an A, two B's, and a C. Oh, Rachel, you're in. Rachel has got it. She's got the gold podium with a C for wind chime. And then Lise has got it as well. Lise Warren, you've got the C. And coming down again, Anne Goodwin. So there we go. We've got Rachel on gold. We've got Lisa on silver. We've got Anne on bronze. And Anne, you did well there because JDS and Rufus were on C as well. And they were directly after you, but you pipped them to the post on that bronze position. There we go. And I can see just down lower, we've got our Dorothy at the C as well. Yeah, it was a wind chime. It was a wind chime. It was a China bird hanging on a thread with metal tubes hanging from the bottom, blowing in the wind. There we go. Okay, let's have a look at another find. I tell you what, I'll do another find that is linked to a question because you remember the cod bottle? Yep, that cod bottle that we showed in the video. It wasn't this cod bottle because I've now found 3 cod bottles, and I've given 2 of them away, and I have this one left and I gave away my first cod bottle. And I've given away the second, but I've still got this one. But and this one that we found after didn't have any chip on it, but it's got the marble inside. And as you can see on this cod bottle, there on the bottom, they used to print the name of the town that the company was in. So on this one, you've got Hunt and Horsefield. So we've got H and H on there, and then it's got Halifax. So Hunt and Horsefield, Halifax, all the H's. But see, they got the Halifax written on the bottom. And if we have a little look at this one, you can see a similar sort of thing, because on the bottom of this one as well, you got the name of the company over the top. And then, so it's the Springwell Brewers Limited, that's written over the top, and then the name of the town that they were in on the bottom. And that was a common practice on bottles. So Here we go for another question, because otherwise I won't get all the questions in tonight. Just before showing our first cod bottle find, I showed the bottle with an anchor on. In which town was that company based? What was the name of a town written under the anchor on that bottle? Was it A, Skipton, B, Bradford, or C, Halifax? Go. You're welcome, Rachel. You're welcome. Right, let's have a look. Right, the answers are starting to come through now. Where do you think it was? Because I showed you the bottle and it had the name of the company, and then it had the anchor, the large anchor, and then underneath was written either Skipton, that would be A, Bradford, that would be B, or Halifax, that would be C, which is the town in which that company was based. What do you do? Dorothy said, I don't know. Well, thing is, see, Dorothy, with A, B, and C, it's always worth a guess, because you got a 33% chance of being right. And I dare say there's a couple of guesses going on. Some might know it, some are guessing. But if you don't have a go, who knows? Right then. The answer is, and in fact, the very first answer in is correct, because Rufus Williams, the Abergavenny boy, has gone with A, Skipton, which is the right answer. Yep, in fact, it was a Skipton bottle, and we found it at the Skipton dump. So, A is the right answer, and the gold plus goes to Rufus. Let's have a look. Ooh. Lexi. Lexi's got an A. Lexi's got an A, so she's got silver. Oh. And I'm not sure if Anne worked on the premise, hang on, there's only 2 A's there, I'm going to put one in. I'm sure not. But Anne's put in an A, which gives her the right to stand on the bronze podium. There we go. So Rufus put his A in twice, because I think he might have wondered if the first one got through. But he only gets one post. So there we go. Rufus, you are on the gold podium. And then Lexi is on a silver. And possibly a cheeky, sneaky last minute go from Anne. But it's good enough. You're in there and you've got the bronze. Well done. Yeah, it was a Skipton bottle from a Skipton dump. And it was a beautiful motif on there of the anchor. Right. Another thing that we were chatting about this week in the video was that pipe that Caroline found, which then got lost. And it had the wheat sheaf on the front of it. But the one that Caroline found that day was distinctive from so many of the others, because we've found several wheat sheafs over time, but of course what set them apart is the colouring, because as you can see, the one is made of a white clay, the other terracotta, and we rarely find terracotta pipes. We've probably found 2 or 3 in all of the years we've been hunting. And as we showed in the video, Caroline's problem was that she put it down and then it must have rolled, and when she went to find it, she couldn't, and it was the same colour of the leaves. But it's interesting that with pipes, we didn't find a pipe bowl for the first 18 months, 2 years that we were searching. We didn't find a bottle for about 6 months. But then we come across a pipe bowl which we thought was really cool because it had this chap's head on it. If you can see him there in profile. And there he is. Now that chap's head on it in profile. And on the other side, it had the tall ships. And it was to mark the life and achievements of this gentleman for his contribution to building the ship canal. And when we found that, we just thought, wow, that's amazing. You know, never thought we'd find anything like that. But I was saying this week about twos. Well, when I picked up a small box of pipe bowls earlier on, I realized that in that box, we don't just have two, because there he is again there. But in the same box, I had this pipe, which happens to be a third with the same chap on it. And the ship's on the other side. So it's weird how you can go 2-3 years without finding something, and then suddenly it's as if you start to discover them. I think possibly it's because we may be visiting an area and it's that era and age. And because we're going back to that area, we are more likely to find them. But it still doesn't take away from the joy of finding something, as I said in this film, for the first time. You know, that's the buzz. You know, seeing something for the first time, going somewhere for the first time. There is a joy in revisiting places. We had a wonderful time the first time we went to Halifax. That was the first time we ever found a pipe bowl, as I said, when we were out with Tom. And we have loved going back over the years. And we still love to visit the area. But that first time, it's the same with our holiday. We love to return to the part of France, which is so wonderful. But then even when we're there, when we go out and about, it's still a joy when you turn a corner and see something you haven't seen before. And I suppose that's one of the buzz that people get from doing mudlarking, and something that I know Caroline misses. Because she says to me regularly how much she misses going out on the mudlarking. And one of the things about it is that never knowing what you may find. I remember I've got a little bottle here, and I remember when we found this, because we'd found, you know, it's not unusual to find bottles with writing on. But what was unusual about this was to find a bottle with such a small bottle with so much information on it. They've written on that side, and then they've put the product on that side. So only a small bottle, but they managed to stamp an awful lot of stuff on there. Don't think that's going to show you, is it? Because the light is coming through, and it's hopefully that's a bit better. And if I turn it over, and hopefully you can see the lettering on there. But so that was a big, and what I loved about that was the colour of the glass. And as I pointed out when we brought it down the first time, there on this side, you've lost nearly half the capacity of that bottle because of the bulge of glass. You see it there? When you look in there, the actual shape inside is bent in. So the quantity that holds is half of what it would appear to hold, because it's so poorly made. But that's just down to the process at the time and how old that little bottle is. That's a really old little bottle. And finding things like that, it's just exciting. I remember when we come across things like when we see a label. Now that's something you don't see often, because you got to remember these bottles have been in the ground, in the dump, sometimes for 50, 70, 100 years. So to have the label still on a bottle with that much information on it is absolutely brilliant. And you can see on the back here more instructions, and then on the side, if we had lost all of the label on that, we'd have known what was in it, because it says Lipton, London and Ceylon. So, you know, but you find something like that and it's just, in the moment, it's special. But then each time you see it, the memories are special too. And that's one of the rich beauties of our life as human beings, that special moments become wonderful memories. And even when we go through a part of our life, perhaps when the special moments are few and far between, or we may even go through a time when we're going through difficult times, we can always draw on that, what I like to call legacy of love and happy memories from times we've shared and places we've been. And we just love it. We just love going through this stuff. I love sorting through it. Even recently, now when we've been limited in our ability to get out and about and our time is very short, I've loved going through the videos, because I've got probably 5 or 6 of these 2 terabyte hard drives, and they're full of stuff. And all the clips, all the stuff we used and the stuff we didn't use. I don't throw anything away. But then I wade through it for hours, because I can do that in the night when I'm in. I can just settle down and go through it and check and find things and through the month and put them to one side. And even in that, it's such fun to see the faces of people we were with, to see the finds that we found, to see the places we were. And on, as I said in the shed today, yesterday, sorry, even in this cold, wet, windy weather, to be able to look at such beautiful spring and summer days that we've shared in the past. So I'm just glad that we've got that encyclopedia of joy that we can draw on, that helps us as we move forward. Okay, doke. Let's just double check I haven't missed anything important, any rows of smiley faces, anything. People are trying to attract my attention. Nope, we're okay. Yeah. Dorothy's asking about Tom. Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that I learned from Tom, because I know Tom has been super busy with things and he hasn't been able to get the videos out. And that's when I realized that life was sort of creeping in on us and keeping up the momentum was not going to work. I decided, having chatted with Tom the last time we saw him and everything, that I would try and learn from that situation he found himself in and make a choice early on to do something on a regular basis, so that we can try and keep in touch, because otherwise it does unravel and you don't realize, and I don't want to speak for someone else, but I'm just speaking for myself. If I didn't set the routine of getting something together through the month and putting it out and being here to be with you, then I wouldn't notice how quickly that month has gone, and it turns into 6 weeks and 2 months. And I'm sure this must be true for others as well. You don't, and suddenly you think, good grief, where's the time gone? So that's why I try to sustain the routine, shall we say. Right then, we're going to get another piece of happy news in, I hope, and hopefully we'll get another question as well. But we've got to get another question. We've got to have our final question, whatever happens. So let's do a bit of happy news. Right then, folks. $3 billion giveaway that only took 40 years. A $3 billion giveaway that only took 40 years. An impressive non-profit is marking its 40th anniversary, distributing billions of dollars of new merchandise from retailers to families in need. Since its founding in 1985, Delivering Good has distributed more than $3 billion worth of clothing, toys, and other home goods to people affected by poverty, disaster, and other life-changing challenges. It all started 40 years ago when kids in distressed situations, which the acronym is KIDS, KIDS, were founded by the co-founders Karen, Barbara, and Ezra. They asked non-profits a straightforward question. Would you rather receive money or new product? The answer was unanimous, as they all said they preferred new product. Karen, whose early years were spent in foster care, understood this deeply. For children in foster care, in shelters, or living in poverty, new clothing and toys were unheard of. Receiving something new, something chosen just for them, restored a sense of dignity and hope. I knew that giving a child a brand new coat or toy could make them feel special, Karen recalled. It could say, you matter. And I love that story. Again, it's another big charity organisation. We've got Mercy Ships and we've got Delivering Good. Two major organisations have been going for years. And I know there are so many charities around. And it's wonderful, the kindness that people show. But what I loved with this one, in the last one, it was just that coincidental meeting and that response of the volunteer to see the need and to know they could do something about it. That Good Samaritan situation. Here, as those three people got together 40 years ago and sat and thought, what can we do to make a difference? I love the fact that they quoted that Karen had spent time in care herself and deeply appreciated how being given something that's new and just for you made you feel special and restored your dignity. And she wanted to create that for more children who were in the situation that she'd been in and possibly worse. Well, they've certainly done that to great effect, because over 40 years, they have now distributed over $3 billion worth of brand new goods to children and people in need, which I thought fantastic. $3 billion, can't imagine it. But what I love is go back, go back, go back. And at a point 40 years ago in 1985, three people sat together, had an idea, spoke to the non-profit organizations, realized they were onto something, and then started to do something about it. They probably never imagined when they set up their charity that they would 40 years later have been and distributed over $3 billion worth of goods to people in need. But as the old saying says, great oaks from little acorns grow. So you may be doing something in your world, in your situation, in your life, and it may feel small. All that matters is it makes a difference. When they started out, they were probably making a difference for a handful of kids. But it grows. But every child is valuable. Every person you help, it's a life changed. And if we can all do the good that we can, where we are, and within the limits that we are under, then the world would be transformed, because it's just being good. What's it the good book says? Don't be overcome by evil, but overcome the evil with good. Well, last question of the night. It's 10 o'clock. We've got to ask it. Let's have the logo one last time. Here we go. Hang on. Wrong one. We don't want that one. There we go. I got it. Needn't come back in. I just noticed on the comments that my home on the hillside is just posted. So when we've done this question, I let you go. And if you want to check out how Caroline's doing, she's got a video that's going out tonight. That was set to go out at 10 o'clock. So it must be 10 o'clock because that's gone live. Hey Phil, any plans for making another crafting video? I set my tree today and I'd love to see you make some ornaments out of your finds. I'll have a think about that, Rachel, see what I can do. Okay, thanks for the idea. I appreciate it. But now, last question of the evening. I'm going to give you 3 possible answers so you can all have a go. How many places did Mankey appear in this week's video? Was it 3 places? Was it 5 places? Or was it 7 places? Go. 3, 5 or 7? What are you thinking? Have a go, folks. Do you think Mankey appeared 3, 5 or 7? I could tell you one thing. He only appeared in the last third of the video. He did not appear for the first 20 minutes and then he appeared in a 7-minute window of the video between 20 and 27. How many times do you think he appeared? Do you think he appeared 3 times, 5 times? Or 7 times? Give it a go, see what you come up with. And any more coming in before we finish? Any more coming in? I reckon there will be in a minute. I don't think all the answers are in yet because at this moment in time, if my eyes do not deceive me, oh, there's only one correct answer. Yes, there is. Because in 7 minutes, between 20 and 27, Mankey managed to arrive and show up in 7 different places, folks. Yes, indeed. So, well done, Mike. You got in there because just 20 seconds ago, JDS was on gold with the only correct answer, but at the bottom of the pile we've got Lise Warren, who's going, let's say 7, and Mike agrees, he's going 7 as well. So there we go. JDS, you got gold. Lise, you got silver. Mike, you got bronze. He did appear at 2032 in the shoulder bag, at 2404 sunbathing on a wall, 2412 climbing on the ivy, 2418 he was in my hand, 2447 he was on the wall by the sweet bees, and at 2713 he was in my pocket. So he didn't show up for 20 minutes, but he did 7 in 7. Not bad going. Brilliant to see you all tonight. We will be back somewhere around the Christmas New Year season. We will put the message out to let you know. We'll put it out on the Facebook. Keep an eye out for notifications. We will get the premiere loaded early in the day goes out, to give you all a chance to know it's on. But until then, can I just wish you all the very best as you build up to the Christmas season. I know it's a time for such celebration, but I also realize for some it can emphasize a sense of loneliness because of those they've lost. So whatever your situation, we just wish you peace, joy and happiness as the season approaches. And as we always say, this time till the next time, have fun. Bye.